Hello, my name is Emily, and today I want to tell you a very personal story about my journey trying to learn English from zero. This story is about my struggles, my doubts, my small victories, and the moments that changed the way I saw myself. I hope that by sharing it, you can feel inspired if you are also trying to learn English and don't know where to begin. Today's story is all about courage, learning, and starting even when everything feels confusing. Chapter 1: A Wake-Up Call. I always thought English was something far away from my life, something only people in big cities needed. But one morning, while watching videos online, I realized most of the content I wanted to understand was in English. Everyone seemed to speak it naturally, while I couldn't understand even the simplest sentence. That moment made me feel small but also curious. Later that week, a tourist approached me and asked me for help. I froze. I couldn't say anything except a nervous smile. I pointed in a random direction just to escape the moment. After he left, I felt embarrassed and disappointed in myself. I knew right then that I didn't want to feel that helpless again. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, "Emily, it's time to learn English." I didn't know where to start or how to begin, but I knew that avoiding it wouldn't make me better. The decision felt scary, but also exciting. Deep inside, I felt a desire to grow. I grabbed a notebook and wrote, "This is the first day." Even though I had zero knowledge, writing those words made me feel stronger. It felt like opening a door to a new world, even if I didn't know what was waiting for me. And for the first time, I felt the spark of motivation. I didn't have a plan yet, but I had a dream, and sometimes that's enough to start. Chapter 2: Lost in the Beginning. Starting was harder than I expected. Every video I watched felt too fast, every word too strange, and every sentence impossible to understand. It felt like my brain refused to accept anything new. I would pause and replay the same sentence many times, but it still sounded like noise. There were moments when I wanted to give up. I thought maybe English wasn't for me. Maybe I wasn't smart enough. But I reminded myself that every skill looks difficult at the beginning. No one is good at something they've never practiced. So I tried something different. Instead of watching videos only, I began reading simple stories. Reading helped me move at my own pace, and every time I understood a sentence, I felt proud. It was a small win, but small wins kept me motivated. I wrote every new word in my notebook and repeated it throughout the day. Sometimes I forgot the meaning, but I didn't stop. The important part was staying consistent, even when things felt slow. One step at a time was better than no steps at all. Slowly, the words stopped looking like random letters. I started recognizing patterns and meanings, and that felt like a door opening in my mind. Chapter 3: My First Breakthrough. After weeks of constant effort, I finally had a breakthrough. I watched a short video in English and realized I understood it. Not perfectly, but enough to follow the main idea. I felt something warm in my chest, pride mixed with relief. It was the first time I truly believed I could do this. With that new confidence, I decided to practice speaking. I talked to myself in the mirror every night. At first, I sounded awkward and robotic, but I didn't care. The more I practiced, the more natural I sounded. The fear of speaking slowly disappeared. I also downloaded a language app and talked with people from different countries. My heart raced every time I typed a sentence, but the people were kind and patient. They corrected me gently, and I learned new expressions every day. Those conversations became my favorite part of learning. I started feeling more connected to the language. English was no longer something scary. It was becoming a part of my daily life. I realized how far I had come from the girl who didn't know where to begin. For the first time, I felt like I was moving forward, step by step, toward a better version of myself. Chapter 4: Fighting Doubts. Even with progress, Learning wasn't easy. Some days I felt tired, frustrated, and stuck. I would forget words I learned the day before or make the same mistake again and again. Those moments made me doubt everything. I wondered if I was wasting my time. Sometimes I compared myself to others, and that made me feel worse. I saw people learning faster, speaking better, understanding more. I thought, why is it so easy for them and so hard for me? But comparing myself didn't help. It only made me feel weaker. One night, after feeling overwhelmed, I decided to change my perspective. Instead of focusing on how far I still had to go, I looked at how far I had already come. I remember the first day when I didn't understand anything. Now I could read, speak, and understand much more. I started celebrating small victories again. One new sentence, one correct pronunciation, one moment of understanding, that was enough to feel proud. And every small victory gave me more energy to continue. I learned that the biggest obstacle wasn't English, it was my own fear. Once I understood that, everything became lighter. Chapter 5: A New Beginning. Months later, my life felt completely different. I could watch movies in English, chat with people from other countries, and read things I never imagined I could read. I wasn't fluent yet, but I was confident and growing every day. My family noticed the change too. They saw my dedication and how much I improved. They even asked me to teach them some basic phrases, and that made me feel proud. It meant my effort was inspiring others. One morning, I realized something important. Learning English wasn't only about the language. It was about becoming someone stronger, more patient, and more disciplined. English helped me discover a version of myself that I didn't know existed. I understood that every dream requires courage and consistency. There are no shortcuts, but the journey is worth it. Learning English opened doors, opportunities, and dreams I once thought were impossible. And now, looking back, I can say that the girl who once felt lost has become someone confident enough to keep learning every single day. This is my story, and I hope it inspires you to begin your own. Chapter 6: Discovering New Learning Methods. As my journey continued, I realized that learning English wasn't only about books and apps. It was about finding methods that matched my personality and interests. One day, I discovered English podcasts for learners, and they became a game changer. I listened while cleaning, walking, or relaxing, and little by little, my ears got used to the rhythm of the language. I also started watching movies with English subtitles. At first, it was challenging because I tried to read and listen at the same time, but soon I began to catch words without looking at the subtitles. That feeling of understanding without help was one of the most rewarding experiences of my journey. Music became another powerful tool. I printed out lyrics of my favorite songs and practiced them every night. Singing helped me with pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. It made the language feel more alive and emotional. I didn't just memorize words, I felt them. I realized that the more I connected English to things I loved, the easier it became to keep studying. Learning stopped being a task and became a habit that I genuinely enjoyed. Every day, I felt the language becoming more familiar. By the end of the month, I had transformed my entire routine. English was now part of my mornings, afternoons, and nights. It was no longer something I forced myself to do. It was something I looked forward to. Chapter 7: Connecting with People Around the World. One of the biggest surprises of my journey was how many friends I made from other countries. Through language exchange apps, I met people from the United States, India, Canada, and even Japan. Every conversation taught me something new, not only about English but about the world. My confidence grew as I spoke more. I didn't worry about making mistakes anymore because I realized everyone was learning something. Sometimes I made them laugh without meaning to, but they never made fun of me. Instead, They encouraged me and corrected me with kindness. One of the people I met, Sarah, became one of my closest English-speaking friends. We talked almost every day. She taught me expressions that no textbook ever mentioned, and she always reminded me not to be afraid of trying. She became like a teacher and a sister at the same time. These conversations opened doors in my mind. English was no longer just a school subject. It was a bridge that connected me to people, stories, and cultures I never would have known without it. The world felt bigger, but also more accessible. I realized that one of the greatest rewards of learning English wasn't the knowledge itself. It was the relationships I built along the way. Chapter 8. The Moments of Frustration. Even with friends supporting me, there were still bad days, days when nothing made sense. Sometimes I felt like I was forgetting everything I had learned. I would look at a simple sentence and not understand it, and that made me feel defeated. There were moments when I compared myself to native speakers and felt tiny. Their fluency, their confidence, their vocabulary, it all felt unreachable. I wondered if I would ever be able to sound natural or understand everything without effort. One night, I almost cried after a conversation because I misunderstood a simple question and answered something completely different. I felt embarrassed, and the frustration stayed with me for hours. I wondered if I was truly improving or just pretending. But then I reminded myself of something important. Mistakes are part of the journey. I remembered how far I had come, from not understanding anything to now having real conversations. Progress wasn't supposed to be perfect, it was supposed to be messy. Slowly, I learned to accept my mistakes, not hate them. Every error became a lesson. Every challenge became a sign that I was still growing. And that mindset helped me continue even on the hardest days. Chapter 9. The Unexpected Opportunity. One afternoon, something incredible happened. I received an email from a small online company looking for bilingual assistants. Even though my English wasn't perfect, I decided to apply. I told myself that I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. The interview was in English, and my hands were shaking the entire time. I made mistakes, hesitated, and repeated myself, but I pushed through. I breathed deeply, stayed calm, and tried to communicate as clearly as I could. When the interview ended, I felt proud just for trying. A few days later, I received a message saying I got the job. I couldn't believe it. I read the email 3 times before it finally felt real. It was the first opportunity one had gotten because of English, and it made every hour of studying worth it. The job wasn't huge, but it gave me confidence. I realized English wasn't just a dream anymore. It was now a skill I could use in real life. A skill that opened doors I never imagined I could walk through. This opportunity showed me that learning English didn't only change my mind, it was changing my future. Chapter 10. Becoming the person I dreamed of. Months later, I looked back at my journey and felt something beautiful, pride. I wasn't fluent yet, but I was confident, stronger, and more disciplined. English had taught me much more than vocabulary. It had taught me perseverance. I noticed how my world had expanded. I could talk to people from different cultures, apply for better jobs, watch international content, and express myself in ways that once felt impossible. I had become someone new, someone braver. My family supported me every step of the way, and seeing how proud they were made every sacrifice worth it. Sometimes, they even asked me to translate things for them, and every time I did, I felt like I was living a dream. I realized that learning English wasn't a destination. It was a journey that would continue for the rest of my life. And that was okay, because learning had become part of who I was. Now, I wake up every day feeling grateful. Grateful for the younger version of myself who didn't give up. Grateful for the mistakes that taught me. And grateful for the future that English continues to open for me. This is my story, and I hope it inspires you to start or continue your own journey.